And hello everybody and welcome back to the stream, or if it's your first time here, welcome. Hope you're all having a fantastic Friday or whatever day it is you're watching this on, and we are back. So, last few weeks we've been playing this really cool visual novel called Of the Devil. We're on chapter 1 currently, and most recent events, our hot main character found an android girl in a locker. And yeah, now we're gonna have to try and figure out how our friend, the super femboy autist coder, got fucking killed. And here I am with my fingers crossed, hoping that it wasn't the main character that murdered him before all this transpired. Though if I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure that's what the plot point is gonna end up being, because the whole plot twist of chapter 0 is that we are like a serial killer in addition to being an attorney. So it's probably going to turn out that we killed him, but hopefully that is not the case. Especially since we're being put on the case to like investigate if he actually killed himself or not. You know, like you'd think that would take us way too close to the sun and make it so that we are more likely to get caught for the murder. Which is why I'm hoping that is the sign that Morgan did not kill David, but we don't have any real evidence to suggest otherwise until we continue. So, let's do that. Let's continue on with this game. And I hope y'all have been having a good week and that your weekend is going to be great as well. Fuck! I forgot to put the static back on. The illusion has been ruined completely. Oh well. Hope y'all having a good time. Y'all seem to have been enjoying this game. Just like I have. Not respond. Yes, it's responding. Fuck you. Stop it. There we go. It's capturing. Took a bit, but it's capturing. It's a work of fiction. Alright. It's going well with me. I'm just distracted because I'm going to be late on my next video. Oh, no. That's unfortunate. I mean, you know me. I am not punctual and timely. So I would say you shouldn't worry about being late, but oh well. Alright. Please make way. Officials are coming through. Please disperse. Keep walking, pigs! Fascists! Noble owns the corpse! Only the cops they build in their factories. Very funny. Why are we tolerating this shit? You want me to wade into the crowd with a nightstick? Prove I'm wrong? You know what I mean. We're the only people in this city trying to do some goddamn good, and they all just... That's just part of our job, detective. No offense, ma'am, but wearing a police badge earns you a little more hate than... Do they give prosecutors badges? I have an ID for the parking garage. Does that count? Depends. Do you ever hesitate to wear it in open? This moral relativism of yours seems like a strange philosophy for someone of your profession, Adonai. I'm not late except literally. Bruh, I was also kinda late. You're late by only like 5 minutes. It's not a big deal. You haven't really missed anything. Breaking the thesaurus on me? I'm only being realistic and humble. I'm just one woman, Sarah. Whatever I do, right or wrong. It's less than a % rounding error in the grand scheme of things. Do you tell that to your clients? No, but they come to appreciate it when I win. I don't mean cops in particular. The same deal applies to anyone who works for the state. Terms are stark, but the ink dried a long time ago and we all agreed to them. I don't recall voting for it. Well, not voting is how these things come to pass, so... We traded freedom for safety, individual rights for collective power. The state won, the citizens lost. Very least we can do is take their criticisms head on. Look, I don't have a problem with the responsibilities of authority. Only with authority being challenged. But they treat us like we're the bad guys. Well, sometimes we are. Sometimes the law is wrong. So if any given individual is too small to ever affect change, so if the public's gonna hate us no matter what we do, and if corporations and governments will trample over people the same, regardless of their character, if we can't even be sure we're doing the right thing, what do you do, Adonai? What the hell do we do? I think it's pretty simple. It's not as complicated as you'd think. In times like these, in a world like this, the only logical way to live is, the only moral way to act is, do whatever it takes to win. Ooh. Waifu wars. If I'm insignificant in the grand scheme of things, I can do my worst and no one will notice. If power is inherently evil, holding back won't save your soul. Just fight with both barrels. And trust the opposition to do the same. Winner takes all. Waifu Wars 2, The Revengening. 12:59 p.m. July 1st, 2086. Gatesfield Memorial Hospital. What did I miss? I left early last time. Well, we have a new android girl that's following us around. I can't tell if she's supposed to be a lolly or a young adult, so I'm not going to say anything weird, but she is cute so far. I was there for Sarah. Okay, well then I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember off the top of my head what you missed. We examined the crime scene, and we found some clues, I guess. I mean, for me, it's been a week. It's been 6 days, so I don't entirely remember either. Ugh, thank you. You're a lifesaver. The next time that Bridezilla texts you, just turn your phone off. Chatty guy must have been due to go on break. When he tried and failed to find the witness's medical record, his datapad had the name blacked out. I left when you were heading out of the crime scene. Out of the crime scene after the talk with the DA and the detective girl. Out of the crime scene or into the crime scene? Because like we finishing investigating the crime scene of like where the actual murder happened is like not long after we finished last time. Not crime scene? Okay, you mean the basement. You left after we left the basement. Yeah, after we left the basement, we got Sarah to lie for us so that we could then go and see the crime scene. And so the weird complicated thing that's happening is that we are going to be fighting the state on the verdict of David killing himself. So we're going to try and prove that David did not kill himself by being his attorney post-mortem. And they had a lot of complicated text to explain why it makes sense that I in absolutely no way have the ability to remember exactly what the jargon was to make it make sense. But it did seem to make sense. But I did see that they have Caduceus Executive 3, more expensive than David's, which means they most likely... How did you do that? You need to hold the button to get the doors to close faster. Mashing does nothing. That is not what I meant. There were many others who arrived before us. How did you get us down here so quickly? Well, I didn't do anything. It was that nurse who escorted us. Yes, but you managed to get a stranger like him to help you with so few words, so little information. I don't think you even gave him your name. Haven't you heard of the Golden Rule? Of course I have. Treat others how you would want to be treated. Wrong. Treat others how they want to be treated. He wanted someone that he could vent to. He wanted someone to pay attention to him. He wanted to feel appreciated. Which meant he'd be eager to help, given the chance. Even just reading someone's mood is quite difficult. How could you know how another person wants to be treated? There are no mind readers. No one can ever know anything about what anyone's thinking. Maybe not even themselves. Doesn't matter if they're your parent, your twin, your lover, it'll always be a gamble. That is not a very comforting sentiment. Well, I think it's fun. Only because you're good at it. How did you get good at it? Same as anything, observation and practice. You must have been observing and practicing for a very long time then. Are you calling me old, Sarah? I'll have you dismantled. So we proceed down the hall, bear left, look for the fourth door. I'm gonna open the one that says morgue on it. Uh-oh. Oh no, another waifu! Or is it a femboy? I can't tell if it's probably a waifu. This is the morgue doctor, I assume. Oh, hey! Surely a wife. I mean, if it's a femboy, it's not like you're gonna give a shit, CJ. You know? Come on in! Don't stand out there in the cold, would be accurate. Sorry about the chillin' here, but I run a little hot. And you can see my roommates never complain. God damn it. Oh, wait, hold on, is there some way I could find this? There's no fucking way I'm gonna find this. Where on earth would I have put this a million fucking years ago? Is there, do I know where this is? I don't know where I put those stupid fucking sound effects with from part 5 of JoJo. God damn it. If I could remember where, I would have just played one. Yumi Sato, medical examiner. Okay, yeah, it's a waifu. Dr. Sato, just the lady I wanted to see. Though I didn't expect that I'd get to. The fact that they've assigned a medical examiner and not some ad or junior means... Oh, you can just call me Yumi, and you're... Morgan. I represent the deceased. The deceased? Oh, the deceased. Asher, D. Wait, really? That's, weird. I thought this time slot was scheduled for a group of noble PR people who... I know, weird, right? Well, what the hell do I know? Was getting tired of hosting Megs anyway. Gotta finish typing up this report before we talk shop. But in the meantime, feel free to make yourself at home. Obviously, we're gonna read literally everything. Yeah, David is in one of these lockers, I assume. What's this? The hospital's getting renamed? No, guess it's some other hospital that got snapped up. Hospital renamed to thank Ikaria family. Ikaria family, yeah. In a ribbon-cutting ceremony held uptown today, Plotter Memorial Hospital was formally renamed to the Northeastern Ikaria Medical Complex in recognition of the family's incredibly generous donations over the last several years. It's the latest in a string of philanthropic efforts by the family to result in a name change after they paid for the renovations of the orchestra hall and the retrofitting of what used to be known as the Scout Arena. You know, I'm not gonna lie, of all the things to spend your money on as a rich person, philanthropy for the purpose of renaming stuff is kind of fucking baller. I think I would probably do that myself. Just to have my, just like, not to be a dickhead, but just, it'd be cool to have my name on random shit that's like useful for people. And it's a lot more ethical than, you know, like, I don't know, just fucking everyone up or something. But it wasn't so long ago that the Ikaria were better known for drawing blood than donating it. Back before the 50s, they had a fearsome reputation for cutthroat business practices that had their business rivals going so far as to accuse them of involvement with organized crime. Like buying Twitter to rename it. Well, he bought Twitter because he thought it was dog shit, and then he didn't even name it something interesting, which is lame as fuck. After the founding of Renogen Medical over 25 years ago and its subsequent sale, the Ikaria have moved out of the business world and into the upper echelons of society that are sometimes mockingly referred to as neobility, a generation of newly minted aristocrats born from the unique and chaotic economics of the mid-21st century and the Red Decade. There's so many words in here. There's so much lore. When asked her opinion on those who'd label their family House Ikaria at the hospital's renaming ceremony, Renogen board member Mireille Ikaria had this to say. In this country, anyone can make a name for themselves so long as they're willing to put in the work. Mock new money all you want, but the truth is that the success is all about reinventing yourself, and the only ones uncomfortable with that are... We're working hard to print out the rest of your article character by character. It's tough work, but we'd be able to go a lot faster if you'd leave a tip. Want to drop your payment info in the jar? Ikaria. Guess they weren't always the same line of work. Alright, I just put that whole article in my journal. Now they're plastering their name wherever they get themselves a new image. All the neobility are eager to prop up their image wherever they can. Neobility. Derogatory slang for nouveau riche nouveau riche families? I don't know. Slang for nouveau riche, new money families that arose in the second half of the 21st century amid global economic turmoil. The name carries a negative connotation and is meant to criticize the way said families supposedly style themselves as nobility, or even as a second estate that administers global power alongside the first governments and third corporations. Nouveau riche? Okay. You said it good? Bro, I fucking just guess whenever I see European words. I'm not even kidding. I see something in fucking French or Italian and I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing how it's supposed to be pronounced. There's so many fucking European languages that have all these weird fucking letters that look like Latin letters but aren't, and so you pronounce them like the opposite of what they're supposed to be. Like, what the fuck is the umlaut doing to like the U's and the O's? It's like completely warps their fucking sound. I don't understand. Users also frequently search for who are neo-ability families, how to marry into wealth, define de nouveau. Oh god, I love this game. It's so funny. The lore is so fucking funny. Hey, Sato. She is a baddie. I wonder if those are probably tattoos, but I wonder also if they might be scars. 173 centimeters. That's decently tall, right? I am never, ever, ever is like the A in back. So like that, yeah. But O and A aren't sounds used in English. Eighth, I mean, like, yeah, we say, like, English technically uses the weird AE sound, which is kind of strange because it seems unnecessary when you can just put AE as two separate letters in English, but... So it's like you're forcibly turning an English lettering into moon runes for no reason. Because clearly English is the only real language, you know? Everything else is a goblinoid language. O-, medical examiner, accessory... Likes, accessories, reality TV, palm reading. Oh, okay, so she is exactly as tall as I am. She's 5'8". She is the exact same height as me. Okay. Dislikes, social media, dress codes, ebooks. You know, maybe this is my waifu in this. You all talking about Morgan and stuff, but... Damn, this girl. Oh, I also really like Reyes, though. Loves to make new playlists. Hates to throw out old clothes. Most proud of my weekly meal prep. It's kind of based. She's not my wife. She's got me chained to her radiator. So you're her, so, like, she's not your wife, she's your owner, yeah. What new evidence do we have? Nothing. I don't know why it was highlighted if we had no new evidence. But that must go double for the Icarias, assuming the truth about their criminal past is anywhere close to the rumors. Fucking... Tale as old as time. Yakuza fucking around like every other mafia ever. Lazy is my radiator mate next door. Sometimes I think men need therapy. Hey, you know, at least I'm not the one in this chat that's going like, oh, I can fix her. At least I see the goth tomboy and I'm like, sensible human being. Rather than, oh, Morgan is a murderer? Time to get my cock out. Like, no, she's a murderer. She would kill me. I'm probably not gonna actively want to pursue that if I care about my life. You like inhuman tentacle beings, though? Honestly, I think that the Harkness test is completely and utterly fucking sensible, and I know that I have a bias because of the accusation that I'm mentally ill for liking it, but hold on. You can't see me, but I held my hands up in front of my face like, hold on. I'm not singling you out, I'm saying all of you. No, I'm not like them. No, I'm singling myself out. I'm not like them. Oh, God. The blood on her hands makes her give better. Shut up, Rag. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, it makes her do better at that by ripping it off. You fucking idiot. That's how she got the blood on her hands. By straight ripping it clean. Like she's butchering a deer. That's a lot of screens. There's got to be diminishing returns on productivity. Why do you have so many monitors, ma'am? You can't just ask someone that. Good question. Every quarter when they do inventory and budgeting, they ask me if I need anything, and I never do, so I submit a blank form. But I guess a while back there was a +1 in a spreadsheet somewhere and no one's ever corrected it, and so... boom! I got 4 new monitors every year. Do you run out of things to use them for? Sometimes, but this year I've started running 2 dramas at once when I'm doing rote work, which helps. Watching 2 television shows at the same time helps you do rote work? Helps me use up the screens. I see! So, this is his body, right? Because like the thing with me and the Harkness test is like, I'm not actively wanting to get killed by the xenomorphs. Like for me, it's all about the context of I am not in active danger. Like, I'm not walking into the woods hoping a Sasquatch kills me. You know, like, I'm not looking for the crazy clown woman monster murderer. No, it's more like, oh, it's a snake person who is not trying to murder me. He hasn't tried to find a hot Wendigo. Yeah, because they're gonna fucking kill me, dude. Like, what do you mean? They're cannibals. Actually, that's an interesting idea. That's an interesting thought, because if a Wendigo is a monster that becomes that way because they cannibalized another human being, doesn't that mean they aren't a cannibal anymore? And therefore they would stop being a Wendigo? So, like, isn't there a paradox here where being a Wendigo transforms you back into a human, which transforms you into a Wendigo again, and then backwards forever? It's like infinite energy, like that cat meme of where you put the buttered toast on the cat's back, and then it spins forever when you drop it. Are these all dead bodies? One would hope so. I only meant that I'm surprised to see them stored here. It suggests a backlog, which suggests a higher murder rate than the public data would lead one to expect. That fucking video was hilarious. I mean, personally, I saw it as just a stupid meme. Like a troll face meme. Like 10 years ago or whatever. Probably from 4chan or Reddit. Do you only examine bodies for the police, Doctor? Oh, I wish. Nah, most of my jobs involves confirming cause of death on natural deaths for insurance adjustments. Insurers want to blame the mod for failing. Mod makers want to blame the stiff for not exercising enough. Family says the company insurance plan would pay for mods, but not a gym membership. Yeah, that whole wall, there is suspected defective liver mods, suspected leaking internal bio batteries, suspected CCIC. RIP 4chan? What, did something happen to the hacker known as 4chan? Was the hacker known as 4chan finally captured by the world government and executed? CCIC? Climate change induced complications. Oh god. You can prove that climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death? Very, very rarely. If it can be proved, what does that mean for the family of the deceased? Plus or minus 14% on the life insurance payout? That's fucked. I mean, it's most of what I can do, and I don't dislike my job. It's just so much of what I do just boils down to telling a bunch of cheapskates how to split the dead man's bill. They closed some board, and the members of that board hacked 4chan so it was shut down until they fixed the issue. So the hacker known as 4chan hacked itself. Okay. Lawson has a Kirby Cafe merch shelf, but I can't really buy that stuff right now, so it's a bit sad. You will, though, eventually. Don't worry. It's enough to make Homicide feel like a breath of fresh air. She finishing up over there? Right. Okay. So what's up? Thanks for your time, Dr. Sato. My first question would be, what was the cause of death? Oh, wow. Hi there, cute android. I didn't even realize it was really cute. The skin that's remarkable. Ah, she sees that she's a dark-skinned android, and she's like, oh, s'mores? Even just looking close, you can tell they really are warm. not quite human body temperature, but they've come a long way. The early gens all looked flushed, felt like they were always running a fever, and they ran like it too. Even 2 years ago, the average warm android only lasted... Sorry, but the circumstances surrounding this particular case call for expediency. Right. So what can I tell you? Talk screen. The police mentioned a talk screen. Yeah, that's the thing. They ran a talk screen when he first arrived, a typical diagnostic intake procedure. Based on the emergency call, they figured he must have been overdosed on something, but the talk screen gave them nothing. A test performed on David Asher when he arrived at the Gatesville Memorial Medical Hospital determined what if alcohol was the only item positively identified at the time. Right. Okay. So the thing that the theory that we're currently working on for David not killing himself is that he was poisoned with a custom drug. Because in this universe, when they decriminalized all general drugs, what happened is that pharmaceutical companies and illegal drug dealers went to war in trade by creating custom drugs. And because custom drugs are all customized, there's no laws surrounding how they work or whether or not they're safe or not. And so, like, the working theory that Morgan is gonna try and go for is that somebody poisoned David with a custom drug, and that's why there was no database on the drug that killed him, and they only know about the alcohol. That's the theory I think Morgan is trying to go on right now, if I remember correctly from the last stream of this game. After he died, we performed the broadest screenings possible. Nothing. So were you forced to conclude that this was a natural death? I didn't give up that easy. I took blood samples and compared their makeup with what was on record in his previous medical history. And I managed to isolate a single non-naturally occurring chemical compound that wasn't there before. What was it? Some exotic toxin from a different hemisphere? I wish. I ran through every available database we have access to, and even a few I only sort of have access to through some friends. Not only does it not match any known poison, it doesn't match the chemical makeup of any registered compound. So more and more support that it was a custom drug. Oh, designer drug! That's what they were calling them. Designer drugs. That's what they were calling them. So, a designer drug, huh? That seems to be the best explanation. What the hell did you do, David? You said it didn't match any registered compound. What about compounds that aren't registered? Those friends of yours, private sector folks? Yeah, in pharmaceuticals. If one of them patented a new compound, a new drug, what would keep its formula from going on the record? In the private sector, intellectual privacy is the norm, so you're expected to protect your research aggressively. Patent first, find a use later? Yeah, a patent would have to at least describe your compound in brief, but depending upon what country you file in, I've heard it may be considered prudent to keep the actual chemical makeup off the record. Smart, using international IP law as your own personal minefield. How so? Whenever you're ahead, patent as much as you can, as fast as you can, but bury the formulae so no one knows where it's safe to walk. Anybody small and ambitious comes along, finds a new drug they're excited about, you flip up your card, let them know you came up with the idea years ago, and that you'll give them death by 1,000 court dates if they so much as blink. Wouldn't work on anyone your size or bigger, they could punch back, but for the rest of the field... Wow, you corporate lawyers are scary. I'm not a corporate lawyer. So you came up with that strategy just now? So it's possible that this poison is actually a known substance, something the hospital could have easily identified if it wasn't considered a trade secret. Yes, unfortunately that is a possibility. So if the hospital tries to save somebody from overdosing on a designer drug, they might literally just let the person die, or else the secret patent holder will sue the hospital. That is so unbelievably fucked. That is probably the most dystopian thing this game has ever shown us. Which is saying a lot, because there's a lot of fucking weird shit in this game that is very, very fucking alarming. Hospitals have done worse. Yeah, like in 1935. I don't know the names of German cities. Berlin, that's one name I know. That's about it. Still, just because a drug is new, that doesn't mean it's original. Does the effect that this compound had remind you of any other drug? Maybe one that's prescriptive only, or a controlled substance? One you might know by another name, but with a patented structure? Sorry, sweetheart. It's a general depressant. There are a lot of drugs that have that effect on the body, and they come in all shapes and sizes from all kinds of places. Well, trust me from my own experiences, depressant drugs can have very fucked up side effects. Some hospitals IRL still pressure loved ones to unplug coma patients, whether or not there's actually a chance that they're gonna wake up, or if they're an organ donor. Yeah, I'm not surprised that that's a thing that happens. Because it costs money to keep somebody in a coma. And in a lot of Western countries, medical bills are so outrageous that they are sort of a suggestion. Like, it's possible in the United States for, if you're in, like, medical debt, you can sort of just attempt to coast out the debt for your entire life and never go to jail for not fully paying it. And the hospitals just kind of have to accept that, because nobody's gonna pay a hospital bill that will literally immediately put them on the street. So, like, due dates for hospital billing can be extremely lenient, because otherwise everybody in America would be bankrupt from medical bills, especially with our obesity rates. So, like, if the hospitals are, like, losing shitloads of money on people who are in intensive care, like a coma, well then yeah, they're gonna try and encourage loved ones to kill their comatose loved ones. I'm saying if they're not I'm saying if they're an organ donor, not talking about the bills. If the person is listed as an organ donor and they're in a coma, the family agrees they're declared dead, the doctors can take the organs. I know what you mean by that. Like, the doctors taking the organs is also, like, it's a life-saving thing, but also a money-saving thing. Because if the person in the coma is dead, they don't have to spend money taking care of them anymore. So there's like a bunch of different reasons. There are a lot of drugs that have that effect on the body, and they come in all shapes and sizes from all kinds of places. If the effect was unremarkable, what about its strength? Could you estimate how much of this stuff he had in his body, all told? Not precisely, no. Not without detailed knowledge on its half-life. But I'd guess that it must have been about 20 milligrams. Is 20 milligrams a lot? Not for a medicine, so this wasn't just an overdose of something relatively harmless then. No, not if 20 mil was enough to crash his entire nervous system. Alright, cause of death. Were you able to determine the cause of death? Well, cause of death, sure. We got that much figured out at least. Why doesn't that sound particularly reassuring? Dr. Asher died of respiratory failure. His lungs collapsed? Not enough oxygen in the blood, not enough blood going to the brain. Root cause being widespread depression of the central nervous system. Bitch, are you really about to argue that he died of being sad? Come on. What would the symptoms be? What would it have looked like? Lightheadedness followed by dizziness, then headaches, slurred speech, exhaustion, loss of consciousness, and finally respiratory arrest. Reports shows that the EMTs tried intubation, then resuscitation through electrical stimulation, repeatedly. By the time he got to the emergency room, they were desperate enough to attempt direct artificial blood oxygenation, but it was too late. And you're certain of all this? Oh, well, most of it, sweetie. Most of it? Yeah, it's turned into quite the puzzle, and I'm used to having more pieces to start with. I was surprised a man as rich and famous as him didn't have any kind of biomes, but his files show... What's a biomes? Biomonitor, okay. Well, I guess I'll... Biomonitor is a general use term for a wearable technology or implanted mods that monitor or provide feedback on an individual's vital signs. Commonplace among the affluent as an additional layer of security, biome is relatively rare among the middle class. Some sociologists and consumer trend analysts point to anxieties about the climate, pollution, and the stresses of modern life as to why adoption of biomonitors has met resistance with medium-wage earners. If one's health is already assumed to be poor, constant knowledge of its status might be considered uncomfortable. Biomonitors are also frequently employed by incarceration, probation, and workplace health initiative programs. Man. What a fucked up universe. He wasn't a viable candidate for modding. Yeah, that's right. Without that kind of first-hand tech, we don't have nearly as much data as we'd like. But he was extensively monitored from the moment the EMTs arrived. We're very certain about our conclusion. Did you find anything else unusual about his body in your examination? Cuts or bruises? No injection sites, nothing in any cavities. Nothing at all, huh? Thank you, Yumi. Of course. So, let's take a look at this. David's autopsy. Lost consciousness at 8:03, declared dead at 8:25 in ICU, redacted presiding. Caused death, respiratory effect, unknown substance, detected in the bloodstream, approximately 18 cut out, 20 milligrams total. The loud curling handwriting at the bottom of the document reads, "What the hell is talk screen? Send attending physicians back to med school. Send apologies to attending physicians. These readings are a nightmare." What the fuck? Interesting. This note intrigues me. This note is very intriguing to me because I wonder who wrote this. What the hell is talk screen? Is this Yumi being like, this talk screen doesn't make any sense? Or is this somebody at the hospital being like, I don't even know what a talk screen is? Because if that's the case, then that's suspicious as fuck. Send attending back to med. Send apologies to attending physicians. These readings are a nightmare. That's funny. Of course. So, you ready to view the body? We could skip it if you want. I know most people get squeamish around corpses. Watch this. We're gonna open it up, and it's gonna be like, "Hello, David." Yeah, that. Morgan. Shouldn't be a problem. Oh, Morgan. You morbid human being. Okay then, let's get started. Alright, I'll just step out for a moment to give you some privacy. Yes, please. Thank you. I'm gonna be so fucking mad if Morgan killed David. I'm gonna be so annoyed. I don't want every murder in this game to be just Morgan covering her ass. I want her to not be completely evil and actually have friends she cares about. That's why I didn't like Death Note very much. I couldn't stand Light Yagami after a certain point. It's just kind of like, I don't like this evil fig tree, motherfucker. Like, come on. Give me a character I can actually like. Last time we talked was on a Sunday. You weren't complaining, I remember that. It's the principle of the matter. L, more like hold this L, Lamau. Lamau. Right, you had ordered this cheap piece of shit sculpture or something by mistake, and it came damaged and you wanted to send it back for a refund. I gently reminded you how, with your salary, it was literally not worth your time, and I kindly offered to throw it out for you since you're having so much trouble letting go. You're only offering because you want to see how loud it sounds shattering at the bottom of my trash can. I denied it, even though you were right, and it was obvious. I should have let you have that one. I thought he would look different. So, those thoughts that Morgan just had right there implies to me that she wasn't the killer, which makes me a bit happier. But knowing this game and the way it revealed her as the Heartbreak Killer in Chapter 0, I'm still not gonna be surprised if she still is the murderer. But he looks exactly the same as I remember. His skin is pale, and he's very still. But his face is the same, his hair, his hands. You were expecting something more drastic? Last time I saw him, he was alive. He smiled and he told me he would see me soon. Now he is dead. Something is gone, and I can't find the difference. I'm trying to look harder, but I think I might just not be capable of it. And I wonder why. Why was I created to not be capable? Could be an issue of skill. Fuck you, Morgan. You bitch. Or maybe it's not something that can be seen, no matter how hard you look. But it's there. I guarantee it. What if the plot twist in this game is that Morgan being the Heartbreak Killer is a red herring? As in, every single murder we investigate after Chapter 0 is not a murder that we committed and we are genuinely trying to help people. It's just that we're also a bit of a psychopath that one time was a killer in only Chapter 0 and otherwise has not investigated their own killings even once besides that one. That would be a very funny twist. Like, oh, I'm a murderer. It's kind of weird that there's all these other murders happening that I literally did not do. What if that's the double twist? I've seen the transition enough times to be sure that between life and death, the distinction has significance. yeah, because you fucking killed everyone. Or not everybody, but you killed 6 people at minimum. To the dead, at the very least. You're going to smoke here, now? I'll pay the fine. That's not the issue. Were you expecting me to fall to pieces? Real boys grieve in all kinds of ways, Pinocchio. And some don't grieve at all, it seems. I'm a cold woman. Sorry to disappoint. The hell? Why the hell won't this thing light? Adonai. You have your cigarette backwards. Morgan genuinely is shaken by David dying. I am not going to be surprised if one of two things happens. Either she is the murderer, or they were fucking. Maybe they were closer than just friends, but like because of their weird lines of work and their autism and her being a psychopath, they just weren't together in any capacity. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was a thing. What if the end of this game is Morgan turns herself in after, like, saving a bunch of people, and she's like, you know what? I think it's time. I think I've done enough good. I'm just gonna confess to all those murders I did, or something. Alright, that's back into cold storage for him, so... Need anything else? Can you send me the chemical makeup of that compound you isolated? Sure, for what it's worth. Just let me just... It's got carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen with hexagonal structures. Didn't you just kind of describe all of chemistry right there? Like, this... Doesn't this sentence describe, like, all of chemistry? So it's organic, but there's a number of metallic elements, too. And if you... Oh, poison? Question mark? An unidentified substance found in the bloodstream of David Asher after his death has many similarities to the chemical makeup of a depressant drug. No additional traces found anywhere at the crime scene or in David's penthouse. And if you had to speculate on its intended use based on what we know of its structure, well, it certainly acted like a depressant, binding to the receptor pathways and affecting the balance of the neurotransmitter reuptake. Depressants are pretty rare in the designer drug scene. True, people are always looking for a higher high, or a crazier trip, but a more powerful depressant will just make you fall asleep. Not much need to hit up the gray market for that kind of experience. No, there's not. I see. Thanks again, you've been extremely helpful during a very difficult time. I hope we see Sato again, she's really fucking cute. Hey, anything you need, give me a ring. That's very generous. Rockford's orders got me on call, so I'm already getting overtime for the whole weekend. Rockford's orders have got me on call. Glad to hear it. Goodbye, Yumi. And goodbye to you, Greenie. My name is Sarah. Nice to meet you, Sarah.
Please tell me Sato is not also a psycho murderer, please? Please. Please let there be a waifu that's, like, not a psycho murderer, please.
Please! Just let her be a weird, eccentric fucking mortician, please! Up on-ramps and down off-ramps, above skywalks and under tram lines. The buildings get progressively more polished as we head into the most economically developed part of the city. Corporate territory. National headquarters for the likes of Howe Industries, Lake-kun, Tethys, Neath. Each of them sheltering their own micro-city of employee accommodations beneath their skyscrapers' shadows. Whalefall, the entirety of the ocean floor coming together to feast and grow and live. Live off the fetid, rotting fat of the leviathans that swallow generations of people by the mouthful. That is so fucking hilariously edgy, it belongs in an anime. Weight is commonly listed, and my weight is... Do I really have to disclose that? Noble lays claim to one of the largest shadows in the city, a towering nerve center for the whole nation's android industry. It's meant to be intimidating, I'm sure, but today I'm glad that Noble keeps such a sizable physical presence here. I need answers about David and his work on Sarah. Answers I'd never get browsing company website or speaking to a representative. Synopsis. Relationships. There are typically trivia sections as well. Should I start there? Noble will have their guard up, of course, but even that will tell me something. Where they let me walk, who they let me talk to. History. Their efforts are performative transparency and clumsy obfuscation. Their efforts at performative transparency and clumsy obfuscation will... How did you know my father? What? I'm sorry, did I interrupt your brooding? No. What did you ask? My father. I know you were his friend. But what was your relationship like? Can't you just scroll through our socials? Father avoided social media, and your online presence is not significant. You saying I don't have enough followers? Essentially. Sarah is just like, yeah, you suck. You got no Insta followers, motherfucker. I almost got banned right there. You got no followers, motherfucker. You can imagine what I was actually gonna say right there. We went to the same college. Alright. You studied programming? No, I studied all kinds of different things as an undergrad, but not technology. Is that a good way to prepare for law school? I wasn't preparing for law school, or anything else, really. David, though, he had talent, and he knew he wanted to do something with it. He studied programming, robotics, discrete math, cybernetics. What classes did you share, then? Business ethics. Okay. I was the second best student in the class, and he was the first? He was the one who asked the most questions. Not sure about his actual ranking. He found the course challenging, and I clearly didn't, despite being younger. Guess he felt burned. He'd come up to me after class to argue, and sometimes to ask for help. Father always talked about socializing like it was a chore. It was kind of you to give him a chance. What, like I was some kind of social butterfly? The belle of the ball? You weren't? One Sunday night, he knocked on my door all panicked, saying he was in a bad shape for this tech course. There was a midterm or something the next day. I couldn't make heads or tails of the material, but I did my best to at least quiz him. He wasn't satisfied, though, wanted to cram the rest of the night. Father had to cram for an undergraduate midterm? Did I say something scandalous? He's been called the founder of modern programming. Yeah, well, even founder types can have poor time management when they're 21. He was already fried by that point. Wasn't hard to tell what he was really asking for. Oh? So I went and stole a study aid for him. You stole a controlled substance just to help him with studying? Pfft, no, that'd be insane. No, I just pocketed some breath mints from the common room. Told him to pinch his nose and swallow fast, cause the taste is so strong. You gave him a placebo. He already knew the content as good as he ever would. What he needed was to sleep. He could barely keep his eyes open by the time I got back from my daring heist. Didn't take much convincing for him to rest his eyes, just until it kicked in. And the test? B+, I think. I'm surprised that Father stayed close with you after that. You stole and lied to him. I stole and lied for him. And David understood that. He was good at understanding things without me having to spell them out. But I guess that's not the kind of thing that gets passed down through programming. I, unfortunately, need to use the toilet. I will be back as soon as I can, everyone. Alright, I am back. Anyway, we kept in touch after that. First year of grad school, he published this paper. The Turing Solution, a framework for programming adaptive linguistic heuristics. One of his advisors came up with that title. David thought it was way too cocky, but it still hasn't failed any known Turing test in the years since. Don't act like you're the one who deserves credit for it. He called me one weekend asking for advice on how to handle all the attention. Job offers, interviews, apprenticeships, invitations to immigrate. What did you tell him? I don't remember telling him anything, actually. A lot of our conversations went like that. He would talk to me about whatever personal or professional problem was stuck in his head that day, and I would nod while he wore himself out. And at the end of the conversation, he'd thank me, even though I hadn't offered a single word of advice. Huh. He took Noble's offer, and they took over his education, paid him to work on his master's during the day and attend corporate training at night. And whatever else Noble may be, they were smart enough to start listening to him early. You're referring to his one-point doctrine. That's how women talk to me. They just nod along while you say stuff. Oh, man. Quality over quantity. Simple and elegant, just like his code. Simple and elegant, but anathema to a global corporation with supply chains designed for maximum capacity and just-in-time manufacturing. But obviously they got over their distaste fast enough. In the span of a few years, Noble's gone from making manual labor ads for meager profit to being the world leader in intelligence as a service. Even as he was making money hand over fist, he still kept in contact with a nobody like me. I moved to the city for my apprenticeship. He helped me put down a payment on my apartment. And made up excuses as to why he couldn't help me move boxes. That's funny. So is that enough detail for you? Thoroughly convinced that he and I were, in fact, friends? I'm sure there's more to their relationship than what she just said, but... I am. But, Adonai, the favor you owe him, what was it for? That's private. Understand? I have zero interest in talking about it with you. Say you understand. I understand, Adonai. We will be arriving shortly. Shall I send word ahead? Just tell them that David's lawyer is here. Woo! Protect Sarah at all costs. Noble Electronics Northeastern HQ. Sublobby A8. God damn, that's pretty. I've been here before. Sat right here in this lobby waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor, could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me. Folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental in the scale of their hubris, they needed to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints. The greatest minds of each generation coming together. Just to find the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses. Adonai, is something bothering you? Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. Let's save real quick. It's been a bit since we saved. They changed the logo again. Noble Electronics. How does it feel stepping in here? Is this some kind of religious experience for you? It's just the corporation where my father worked. Careful now, or they'll burn you for the heresy against the company. You said it again, the company, as if it's a proper noun. That's what they did in the Alien movies, too. In the first Alien movie, at least. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you? So it can't obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that? Is it just part of the corporate culture? Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is, one of the biggest there's ever been. Praise be to Wayland Yutani Corp! Uh-oh, we need to send Rag out the airlock before he, tries to fuck a xenomorph egg and bring it home to be studied in the lab. Those Wayu people are fucking crazy. Come on, I'm hitting the spacebar. Okay. We mere humans can't hope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are. You're one to talk? Oh, I thought you might say something like that. A xenomorph egg does not pass the Harkness test, therefore... I am one to talk. You live in company dorms, work in company quarters. Wherever you go, that logo is above your head. You eat, sleep, and breathe on Noble's timetable at its discretion. You spend your whole life inside it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is. Think this is only one room. This complex is so massive that it doesn't even feel man-made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here. What if it turns out that David made Sarah by mixing his and Morgan's DNA when making the flesh grafts? Interesting. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here. That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere. I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here? Probably because of what they do to the ones that get in. I'm kidding. Though I don't have a better explanation. Does that make Morgan a MILF? If that is true, then yes. Let's be real here, like, is it really that difficult to be a MILF? I feel like the classification is very, very easy. You could be like a nanny and be a MILF, even if you don't have any biological children. So much energy. So many people, all so intent. You kidding? It's Saturday. The place is half empty. But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays? All the parents do, so they don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Everyone else flips a coin, I guess. All these people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, what could they all be possibly doing? Making work for themselves. You can be very cynical, can't you? Yeah, I'm terrible. But that guy over there has just been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. Fuck you! Fuck off, Morgan! I'm doing more than jiggling my cursor, Morgan, you bitch! Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood's starting to sour, and if they just send me the first link in their infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'll make them wish. Morgan? That's me. We're all jiggling our cursors with one hand. That was a high five I did with myself in order to simulate that your hand was the hand I was high-fiving. Hey there, Android Manufacturing Quality Control Eastern Division. If this guy is a human, he does not have human hands anymore. Evan Dawes. I high-fived you with the head. I used to jiggle my cursor. Thank you for not using the other one. Evan Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. What's a name compared to your place in the hierarchy? You seem familiar. Have you? No barcode, so he has to be human? Correct, yeah. So his hands are not human. He has modded... Oh, wait, or maybe these are gloves. Maybe these are just weird gloves, actually. I'm David's lawyer. Oh, then we must have... Apologies. Let me first say just how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else in the company must be going through a lot right now. As if it's a proper noun. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. You're welcome, but it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to PR or legal right now, our workloads in QA are... Never mind, how can I assist you? Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android. Yes, that is correct. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job. Look at that. It's definitely custom. Gee, you think? Good thing I sought out an expert. Warm, it goes without saying. Reminds me of the A16 Premiere, if anything. The barcode is clearly printed and no visible defects. But you're right, it doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, they sent you the right man for the job. Now we just need to go to the right place. Not far, I hope. It's in the building. In the building. That could mean anything from down the hall to half a day's hike. The production line on B9 should have everything we need. You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters? B9's a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and in what size or shape. Then they come down to the basement to see how the sausage is made. They have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests. Smart. So long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets. No need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here. No kidding. There are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see. And who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way. Clearly, nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it. So if they try to claim ignorance about anything, it's just gonna piss me off. Morgan seems to have a bit of a psychotic disposition against the big businesses. I wonder if they're part of the reason she's become a bit of a psycho murderer. In which case it would be like, it's like the fault of the world, not just her fault. Lead the way. 3:08 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Noble Electronics, Northeastern HQ. Basement floor 9. So there are at least 8 other basement floors. It really is furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see all this in person, you know? Would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? No problem, I've got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from and why David wanted me to take custody. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime. Adonai? Wouldn't want to lose you amongst the rest of the merchandise. Watch! What's being built out there? Our top-of-the-line, brand-new bestsellers, the Animate 16, Warm. Looks kind of cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Slows the organics already tuned metabolic activity to a minimum. Okay? That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal. Oh, well, all the A16s have alloy exoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini. But how do you get the synthetic and organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began to work on the Warm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle. And it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just right. For 2.0, they worked backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin, but digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you pass an electrical current through them? They flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for facial expressions. Looked like puppets strung up on live wires. Oh god. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. Ha! You must have figured something out. The A16 wouldn't look out of place on the runway. Thank you, we tried. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, actually, we just bought out half a dozen of them, but right. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago, so we just need to get a mechanical nervous system to move living limbs. Very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. High-precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite. Exactly, we create a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Where did that breakthrough come from, Dr. Asher? Partly, he led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. Nice. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the synaptonin... Sorry, the synthetic analog serotonin... That was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Zhang. Oh. Zhang. Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Zhang before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get her high kind of pay grade. So Zhang collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went to Sarah that makes the android so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Zhang, did he partner with her on this? Oh, is Morgan gonna get jelly? Her friend had another friend that was a lady. An inhaler left out on the desk, probably half a dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. DAWs, the inhalers, they're distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah, HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so... Can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you who knows how much in lost efficiency. Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. These days? Man, back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years where they popped a few too many greens and missed on the ramp. Popped the greens? Yeah, used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow a red after brushing your teeth to get into your bunk fast. Yep, so they literally sleep at their jobs. That is fucking horrifying. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement, like going from torches to the light bulb. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust dosages in real time. Overdoses are way down. That's great to hear. The trainees under me don't realize how good they've got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. Oh no. Empty one's stomach. The act of emptying stomach contents by inducing vomit triggering the gag reflex or using laxatives to stimulate a bowel movement. Oh no! Yeah, I gotta shit all these chemicals out of me, BRB. They have super melatonin, I need some of that. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I used to take melatonin as a teenager, until one day I took slightly too much melatonin and had the opposite effect. I literally could not sleep for like 48 hours. And then I never took melatonin ever again. Now I take different prescriptions that are better for me, that are better tailored for me. Yeah, I know, right? Morgan internally is like screaming at the fact that people had to purge when working at this company. I took melatonin one time and it didn't work, so I haven't bothered. Oh man. That seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If Dawes does quality assurance, is this some kind of android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? Feels like I've seen this before. That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer. Nanofactorer for short. Real high quality piece of machinery. Each of them built in-house by Randock Mechanics. What does it do? Nano-level flash fab. Flash fabrication. Uh-oh. A method of manufacturing artificial microscopic compounds that utilizes parallel nesting to assemble billions of simple structures in minutes or even seconds. So it's super mega ultra 3D printing. Okay. Nanomachines have been around for the better part of a century, but the time and resources required for their construction through traditional means was historically prohibitively expensive, limiting exploration of and investment in nanotech. In the years since flash fabrication's introduction, use of and demand for nanomachines has exploded, and scientists, doctors, and product designers have found brand new niches for them across every industry. Where's CRISPR? Why are people still dying? Concerns for the ecological impact of this surge in nanomachine construction has been raised, though the official stance of the Nanolife Industrial Lobbying Group has remained unwavering. Nothing that small can possibly leave that big of an ecological footprint. Sure. Basically a 3D printer for nanomachines. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids. The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. So what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon building blocks. They feed into the nanoprinter and assemble the machines particle by particle. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple nucleic acids. Must have been time-consuming. You would think, but Randock cracked the code on parallel microfactoring. The inside's crystalline, sprawling like an ant's nest. Raw materials enter one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and dips out in a liquid solution. Distilled nectar swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar? It's sticky? It's cum! Sounds like a universal constructor from Deus Ex. I mean, I would assume that a lot of Cyberpunk has a lot of inspiration from Deus Ex. It can be, depending on the desired amount, but the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own for some reason. There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass out on the floor, there are temperature-controlled fuel tanks. Fluid tanks, excuse me. Through glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood towards the end. You mean the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place? Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such, but it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red. Oh, right, sorry, I barely noticed it at this point. The color is natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment, changing it from blood red to psychopop pink. Without that chromofuge, our android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, no one bats an eye. God, that's crazy. Is there... Ha! What have we got on this data pad? Some kind of write-up? On the subject of Sullivan's Peak. Much of our world today, and in fact much of our world's economy, is heavily influenced by the uncanny valley. The thought experiment provides a simple and easily applied explanation for the gaps we see in the otherwise wide spectrum of automated dependence that assist us in nearly every industry on the planet. There's a very simple, primal truth to it. Am I muted? Okay. We like things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys. And we like things that are damn near indistinguishable from the living, like whatever name Noble's latest products are being sold under. But there are deep, deep crunches between these two ends, where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. The Uncanny Valley will no doubt remain a useful tool for teaching, marketing, and design for generations to come, but already we are seeing ways in which it fails. It is becoming increasingly clear to us that the space between near indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever suspected, and it may not be the only part of the map that we must fear. I propose we bridge these gaps in knowledge by looking to the speculative fiction of Robert J. Sullivan, who in his most well-known work, Equal Under One Sky, described a concept which thereafter has been called Sullivan's Peak. Hey, book readers in chat, is this real or is this fictional? Is Equal Under One Sky fictional or real? I want to know. Through the lens of his characters and their so very divided world, Sullivan demonstrated that the Uncanny Valley does, in fact, have its own peak on the other side. A point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable, more difficult, and more fraught with moral pitfalls. Once you reach Sullivan's Peak, traveling any further only has diminishing returns. The implication of this idea are far-reaching. We will very soon reach a point in which designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable. A hard stopping point for technological progress. What then, we must ask? Oh, oop, looks like you forgot your sign into this device. Drop your thumbprint below and we'll keep you squared away so you can keep reading. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as a gag, or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be. Noble's making money hand over fist. Why should they care if some sci-fi authors think they need to slow down? Because it could spell doom for the entire industry if they're right. And threats to the bottom line are about as serious as it gets. Okay, I got that wrong right there. Equal Under the Sky is a book by Georgia O'Keeffe, so maybe they took inspiration from the name, but it seems unrelated at a glance. Oh, okay, alright. So it probably is fictional, or at least the title is coincidental. All done? You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring me. Can you have it step into the scanner? As he says, understood. Right then, what are we looking at here? Whoa! There's a lot to unpack here. We theorize that it may have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. What language is that on the screen? Tess. You know, Tesseract? All noble products and, well, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in TESS. A programming language for modern automated dependence. Tesseract 4.6, better known as TESS, is the latest version of the Tesseract programming language, built on top of the Tenet system and utilized in industries around the globe to code the software that allow androids, robots, holograms, and more to react to their environment intelligently and with intention. At the start of the century, there was a much greater variety in the number of programming languages available with which to code. Globalization, the standardization of industry procedures, and the gradual erasure of many spoken tongues contributed to the loss of countless programming languages during the mid-21st century. Today, TESS is virtually unchallenged as the global lingua franca programming language. The study and teaching of other older programming languages is mostly done for recreation, hobby, or digital archaeology. Easy to read and write, stay compliant. Now this model, what's it go by? Sarah. This Sarah model. It's got everything the 16th line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development, like in the idea phases. Solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Ooh. Is she gonna be able to kill people? Data storage is so large I can't... No, wow, he had to measure it using... Hell of a poker face. Wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's... hacking? Essentially. Does that mean it could hack its own tenets? Tenet, showing result for Tenet Supersystem. A programming framework underlying the development of all modern automated dependent software. Any and all contemporary supported programming languages are built upon the Tenet system, allowing users to designate a series of inviolable priorities for their code to pursue. Once added to a program, a tenet cannot be circumvented under any traditional circumstances, and even then, only if a tenet with a higher weight supersedes it. Tenets were first adopted in the field of computer science as a trio 3 priorities that governed how preserving human life, obeying human commands, and avoiding damage to human property should be prioritized. Since then, the number of supported tenets has ballooned to 113, most of them requested by lobbyists in the insurance industry looking to better define relative financial value. Tenets are well known for increasing the decision time lag of programs. This, combined with their engineered inflexibility, has made it such that most programs aim for a tenet limit below 30. Originally, the one tenet that could not be removed from any program was TNT Safety 0, aka Tenet 0 or Tenet 1. Said tenet dictated that the following program could not produce outcomes that would result in the harm to a living person. After the decision reached in People versus Volston's defense contractors and the resulting widespread adoption of automated dependence in the military and security sectors, this is no longer required. Though Tenet 0 may still be added to particularly benign or mundane software as a good luck charm. So, the tenet to not hurt or kill people is not required in this universe. So this is almost like an iRobot movie situation that could happen here. Oh, good luck charm, superstitious ritual, or a joke. I think this superstitious ritual thing here, this is a 40K reference. This is a 40K reference to the machine spirit. That's funny. Oh no, that's unthinkable. Literally for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. I, Robot is one of my favorite Will Smith movies. I really like that movie as well, even though it's fucking awful. It's so bad, but I also really like it. It completely goes against the plot of Isaac Asimov's book in favor of Will Smith shooting robots with ridiculous camera angles. But I don't care. I like it anyway. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean they're androids? Well, no. There aren't crazy androids. So, yeah. I have a feeling that if he said that there weren't crazy androids, he would get turned into Soylent Green. I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems. The industry line is that such a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeletal setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a customer model. Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars, it would depend on the center of gravity. Dude, oh man, please do not tell me that Morgan is gonna have Sarah become an assassin that, like, crushes people's skulls with one hand. Oh no. No, Rag. People being massacred is not hot.
But her being really fucking strong, yeah, that's really hot.
iRobot is top tier sci-fi. The book is, yeah. The movie is very, very bad, though. I love the movie, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that it's a good movie. It is not a good movie. Oh, God. Lady, this Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Oh my God, she could destroy a tank. Or she could destroy an Ed 209 from fucking RoboCop. What the fuck? Those stomping behemoths they bring out for riot suppression? And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says that can't be right. Look, Dawes. I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when. Right. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah or when. Any chance you can restore those logs? Not here, not with this machine. I'd need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any idea where those would be? Sarah? I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. Had a feeling you might say that. Ads, right? Sorry, I can't tell you that the code is unique. I can tell you the code is unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher, or whoever, took very different paths to get there. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside? Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end here. Not at all. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know? Oven? Gross. Alright, a few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation Sarah? We can set it to anything you'd like. Well, actually... She's like, hey, no. Never mind, Sarah will do fine. Do you think Morgan is going to be afraid of Sarah now that she knows that she can literally just kill her effortlessly? Because of how strong Sarah is? I wonder. Man, is this gonna be episode 1 of Invincible at some point? Sarah murders all the other androids or something. Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. You want to reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. Not right now. The last thing, then, is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenets here, nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected, talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself, guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. It used to be that they only had 3 tenants total and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents, the first lawsuits, then the hearings and the legislature, and the demand for more tenants. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenant stating ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during the risk assessment. Wow. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Oh, wow. Companies wanted their asses covered. Customers wanted guarantees. There was never much incentive to deny a requested tenant, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to. Without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated hard-code decision points to get there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenets, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Well, not like I was on the jury. Department of Advanced Defense Projects versus Zenith Dynamics. Oh, wow. The Supreme Court sided with the military's requests and set up new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet. Changing tenets from a mandated list at the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny, ads with the most tenants, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenant counts are just vacuuming floors. The most impressive ones, like what you've got here, fall somewhere in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Only thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Wow. I mean, I knew it was custom, but what price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits. You should know these formulae are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even. If Sarah is really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number, try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. She's like billions of dollars, I assume. You spoke differently back there. With Dawes, you spoke like he did, it seemed. Like I copied his accent? You seemed to mirror his affect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It was just an observation. You could choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Why were you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adonai? For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate? Any cop, or even just well-placed camera, could have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up with any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer. No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker. An android can't get arrested? People get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such... Automated voice. Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? Vice President of Android Futures, Helen Young. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very convenient, forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle. I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate. Or just let the elevator drop. (3:54 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Noble Electronics, Northeastern HQ. Executive Office. Zhong. Uh-oh, we gonna get another baddie? We gonna get another baddie? Oh god, it's so orange! Oh, it's blindingly orange! I'm gonna fucking melt! It's so orange! Oh my god! Oh! I'm gonna have hunter's vision for the rest of my life after staring at this. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Let's save here. This might be important. Also, what new stuff do I have? Oh yeah, Dawes. Wow, he's a big motherfucker. 189 centimeters. August 1st, A-. Chief Supervisor, Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Hammocks Calligraphy, Pale Ale. Dislikes. First dates, conference calls, 5 o'clock shadow. Proud of his practiced handshake. Struggles with solving captchas? What? How? Hair starting to gray. And we already... I just wanted to go in and Sullivan's Peak. Valuation. A valuation of the... You know, guys... I know that words like this are real, but I've still never seen them used, like, ever. This is like the first time... I know that this is a real word. I have never seen it used in my entire life until this moment. To such a degree that at first I thought that this was a pun, but then I'm like, wait, no. This... Like, saying valuation, it's like saying vincible. It is a real word, but nobody fucking says it, like, ever. A valuation of the android Sarah's financial value by an insurance algorithm takes into account the fact that Sarah is the only known android made by David Asher, the last known piece of tech he worked on, the fact that he is now deceased and cannot create anymore, the fact that Sarah is one of a kind, the value of the components used in her construction, and the potential profits reaped from the experimental technology contained within her. Totals to a very large... They don't even want to say how big the number is. It's so big. Chromofuge. Right. Removes byproduct period pigments. Yeah. I just wanted to look through all this. Let her stew. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long. He's literally me. Do you struggle solving captchas, CJ? I don't know if anything could cure that. I always liked this time of day. Yep, we got another baddie, guys. Except she's probably, like, actually evil. Like Morgan probably is. But goddamn, is she also a baddie. There's so many baddies in this game. It's crazy. Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me. Evan and I are born in the same month, same height, 10 pounds apart in weight. I like pale ale and I dislike first dates. Okay, so there's some similarities. Do you also have short hair and work in a corporation? I forget if you're currently out of a job or not. I know that you work in tech, though. Sometimes I struggle with the captchas. Evil women are hot. Yeah, and they're hotter when you make them no longer evil. That's where the whole I fix it mentality comes from, you know? You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. I can fix her. No. We're doing she can ruin me now. Well, if you want to be that way, that's fine. I'm a man of principle, though. I feel that the moment I lose my principle, I am a worthless human being. So I refuse to lose my principle just because a woman is hot as fuck. Please don't fix her. It took a lot of work to fuck her up this badly. Oh my god. Guys are so mentally ill. Jesus Christ. And I am one to talk. The Harkness test is legitimate. I am not insane like you motherfuckers. God damn it. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Zhang. Just Miss is fine. Miss Zhang, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. Let's look at her profile. 166 centimeters. Short. Shorty! You're short! You're short! You're super short! Okay. VP of Android Futures at Noble Electronics. Likes red meat, flower gardens, high thread counts. What the fuck does that even mean? What do you mean high thread counts? Like in clothing? Dislikes working from home, shopping online, waiting. Languages, fluent in 3, enjoys attending baseball games. That's random. Hidden talent, getting children to stop crying. What? Okay, okay, guys, you have your MILF now. Your evil MILF. You have your evil MILF now, everyone. I get the feeling, yeah, you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you, though I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Maybe she's not actually evil, she can stop children from crying. If this lady turns out to not be evil, then, like, she is very close to the best waifu by description in the game. Almost as good as Sato. For me, Sato is definitely, like, the highest tier at the moment. Though I do really like Reyes. Or anyone. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him, trying to be helpful, or just trying to control the narrative? He was great. But that must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over, and every person I speak to. Yes, the lawyers made that all clear. Lawyers? You have an android. It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly? Got all the faces memorized? It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's latest requests, apparently. David asked you to take it? I've been told that you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know that he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. Oh, shit! A glass of water found in the sink of David Asher's kitchen bears Helen Zhong's DNA and fingerprints, no trace of any poison. Okay, so, like, interesting. So, one of my theories was that the person who showed up to his house was Morgan. But I couldn't reconcile in my head how Morgan would have stopped them from knowing it was her or of giving a testimony. Which means it wasn't Morgan who killed him. Surely. Please? But yeah, now she is suspect numero uno. Actually, I think they said they already cleared the person who was the guest. I think the police said that in the last stream, that they already cleared her. I was that witness. Really? Obviously. There aren't that many people David would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Zhong is his superior, on paper if not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you, and you were well within your right to ask for some privacy given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually, you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply don't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake? No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning then? You went to his home last night? Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all that quite clearly. He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person? We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited, and he let me in, and we talked. About the good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Miss Zhong? Putting a number on it, it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later, that he would be dead, that he would commit suicide in front of me. Oh, she wants to try and run with the suicide theory. A firm reply. What happened? A quarter before 8, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back in his workshop, but then he must have went down into his basement to get us a bottle.
What if David had Sarah kill him and then erased her memories? What if he wanted Sarah to kill him for some reason? For some very specific reason.
Oh, fuck. Holy shit. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. Does that still make it suicide or... Well, I think this is being hinted at because of the whole thing about the Sullivan about the Sullivan peak. Because it makes me wonder if David understood that, like, androids are almost becoming people, including his own custom android. So maybe this has something to do with, like, android ethics. Like, he had Sarah kill him so that he could get laws changed or something regarding androids. Like, he wants them to be considered people somehow or something. I'm kind of spitballing a little bit. But the fact that he went into his basement and then came up and then he died, like, who else is in the basement? Sarah, right? So what if he went to the basement and forced Sarah to kill him and then erased her memory of killing him? We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No. I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with him to the hospital, I take it? Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So did David's, for all the good it did him. I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point, but I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain that it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as time passed and he spoke less, but the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here. Said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David? No, I guess it doesn't. Wow, 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 wow. God damn. Well, what else? Why is it highlighted? Well, you know what, guys? This is an excellent place for us to stop. With all these multiple choice questions, we can immediately jump back onto when we start up the game tomorrow. Thank you all very much for joining me here tonight. I really appreciate you coming here to hang out with me. We will be back tomorrow to continue this game. And then, of course, the next week... I don't know if we're going to be done with it tomorrow. But next week we'll be doing the same thing on Friday, Saturday, playing this game. And, of course, on Wednesday we'll be doing another chill stream. If you happen to be new here and you enjoyed hanging out with us tonight, if you think I'd deserve a follow, I'd appreciate that quite a bit. We stream 3 times a week for approximately 2 hours. And this stream will be re-uploaded to YouTube tomorrow, where we'll join every single stream I've ever done. So if there are any you want to catch up on, you can find all of them there. Link is in the About section. Also, I'm going to self-show a little more. I have 2 YouTube channels on my About section. One goes to the VOD re-uploads, the other goes to my other videos, and I just recently made like an actual constructed video on my main channel, so you don't have to watch all of it if you're not interested, but I would appreciate people checking it out, maybe sharing it or anything like that. Just kind of interested in it because it's my first actual constructed video. That's not a VOD re-upload, so I'm pretty happy with it. If it is of any even vague interest to anybody, but that's neither here or there. So yeah, hope you all been enjoying this game. I really fucking like this game. I love this is the exact type of visual novel that I fucking love. It's science fiction. There's a shitload of lore. The mysteries are genuinely interesting, and it feels very tense and heated wherever we go in the story. So I fucking love this game, and I hope you all been having a good time with it as well. So yeah, I guess that should be it for tonight. That we're just wrapping it up. So yeah, hoping y'all give my video a check out on my highlight channel. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, so thank you all very much for joining me here tonight. I really appreciate you coming here to hang out with me. And I really appreciate your support in every capacity. I hope you have a good afternoon, evening, morning, etc. And I will see you all again tomorrow with more of the devil. Ciao!